Instagram Live. Today we are carrying on part 5 of a 6-part series, so we're almost to the end. Hard to believe that a month and a half has already gone by or close to it, but part 5 of 6 of our 6-part series on trauma, and today we're talking about structures, the value of group work and psychomotor therapy. So if you remember from previous talks, we kind of had the idea of top-up talk therapy and engaging one-on-one with a therapist to talk through and discuss some of the traumatic events that happened in your life, and then bottom-up therapy where we discussed the idea of kind of just being more present and attuned with your body. We gave the example of yoga, but meditation, mindfulness would also be examples of that, where just being present and grounding yourself in the present moment and the sensations you're feeling in your body as another alternative for therapy. So today we're going to go back to a top-down approach, so a talk style of therapy, but instead of being one-on-one, we're going to focus on group work. Specifically a system called structures. And so really beneficial for a number of reasons, but building on the ideas, some of the ideas we talked about last week, where if we don't have that feeling of safety and security, that it actually ultimately affects our ability to feel grounded and connected with ourselves. And so it ultimately affects our ability to feel comfortable in our own skin. It's very hard to integrate some of the talk therapy that it goes on in traditional therapy without first being able to experience that feeling of safety and security and feeling comfortable within ourselves. And so this system is really beneficial for that, similar to IFS, right, which we talked about 2 weeks ago. But IFS was more about identifying that kind of portion of our spirit that kind of segmented itself off, and so kind of isolated itself from the rest of ourselves. And so we kind of keep that low, under the radar, out of the way, and then the other parts of our body, the other parts of our family are able to kind of operate and function at a more high level without that small part that's absorbed all the shame and fear from that traumatic experience, and that kind of just gets tucked away. With the idea of structures, it's the same idea that we're creating different sections, but we stay integrated and whole, and so the other components are actually the other people that were involved in the event. So it's a 3D recreation of the people that you had to deal with, and then it allows you to have the past and the present occurring at the same time, so you can explore the rage, the terror, the fear that you experienced in your childhood, and then also be able to create the outcome that you would have desired. So again, talking about creating that opportunity for feeling love and protection in the moment, so that you're better able to integrate with yourself, because we've talked in the past in some of the original lessons about how important that is. So much like IFS, there's a couple different vocabulary pieces to get out. So let's throw those out there, and then we can build from there. So first is the protagonist. And so this, obviously from basic English literature, is you. You are the protagonist of your own story. So if we're exploring your story in a group setting, then you're the protagonist. You're the center of attention. From there, we have a witness, and this is generally the therapist. So they're going to be reflecting all the comments that the protagonist makes in an accepting and non-judgmental way, right? So we've all learned about being a better communicator and reflecting back what the person is sharing with us. So this is what the witness is going to do for the most part, is just kind of explore in more depth what the protagonist is presenting and kind of reflect back to them the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions that they're communicating and what they're feeling. And this is so important because being heard, being validated is generally the first condition to feeling safe, right? If you don't feel, you don't feel that you're being heard, that your opinions are being validated, that your opinion matters, then you generally don't feel safe. So before you can kind of have that sensation of feeling physical or emotional safety, you have to feel heard, you have to feel validated. So this reflecting is really kind of baked into the process. Is a really helpful way of getting people to feel safe. And so from there, you have a contact person, or generally contact people. And this is where it becomes group therapy versus one-on-one. So you have a group of people generally sitting in a circle, and then you can assign to them different roles to play. So if they're, to use an example from the book, Body Keeps Score, which again is kind of where I'm getting all this information from that I'm sharing with you guys. There's a story about a father that was abusive to the wife and the children. So then you can have the father from your childhood that was mean, aggressive, abusive, whatever, as well as the mother that didn't offer the protection and care that the individual felt they needed. Those can be two characters in the story. And so then you explore the child's relationship with each of those. And so you can feel the fear and the shame and the rage and the anger on behalf of the mom, maybe for not standing up and defending the kids, and then all the fear and shame and everything of not standing up to the dad themselves, right? All of that can be explored. And then what makes structure system really beneficial is that from there, then you can assign other individuals in the circle to be the ideal mom or the ideal dad. And you can explore kind of the conversations they would have had with each other and the conversations that you would have wanted to have with them to feel secure, to feel safe, to feel loved, to feel approval, all the things that are essential for kind of feeling that sense of self and acceptance, or that love and acceptance, sorry. So, for example, you could have the ideal mom and then have a conversation, a confrontation with the dad, and stand up to him and say, leave the kids alone, or we're leaving, whatever it may be. And the same thing, you could have a conversation where you kind of explore some of the history of the dad's part that probably led them down that road of being abusive and cruel and mean and unsupportive and unloving, right? Maybe there was some kind of traumatic experience in their childhood that you're then able to explore and understand, or maybe you just tell them to get lost, kind of thing, right? If they're genuinely not good people. But either way, you get the chance to explore the sensations you felt in childhood, and then you get a chance to come in from a position of power and address the situation in the way you would have liked it to have been addressed. And so it, in a way, it kind of creates another memory, right? Or it gives an alternate story to how the past went. And it gives some kind of closure, and so it gives you the opportunity to feel a little bit more safe going forward. And this is so powerful. While it might seem silly to sit in a circle and kind of role play the different dialogues that the protagonist or the patient is coming up with, it's actually very, very powerful. I think we've all seen the studies, or at least heard the talk, that 90% of the communication that's going on between people is nonverbal. So it's happening in the right hemisphere, the spatial side of the brain. And so when we're talking about sensations of caring or approving or indifference or disgust, more so than what people say, it's the facial expressions and the body posture that kind of communicates that to people, right? And so by being able to have those two juxtaposed beside each other, so you have the traditional father, the traditional mom, being all the different postures that reflect their rage and their anger and whatever it may be, versus having an ideal mother or ideal father or whatever it is that is caring and compassionate and kind and has open body language, then again, it kind of helps integrate, I guess, or kind of reaffirm all the different conversations being had in a physical way. And there's a lot of evidence to suggest that this is beneficial for exactly that reason, that the right side of the brain is the one that's more dramatically affected by trauma. So by having a spatial component to the therapy, actually kind of engages that part of the brain that's under functioning. Again, we talked about some of those different structures in the first presentation that might get underrepresented after experiencing a traumatic event. So by having a spatial component to the therapy, more likely to upregulate some of those areas that were underperforming as a result of the trauma. So similar in IFS in a way, again, where we have different components, but instead of different components of ourselves, so all the different conflicting bits of ourselves. So, we had the firefighters, and we had the managers, and then we had the burden kind of thing, the part of ourselves that was carrying all the shame and the trauma from the past experience. Instead of having all those different pieces of ourselves, which likely still exist, again, we're kind of branching out into all the other people that were present and involved, and being able to explore the feelings from the past, as well as engage in a meaningful way and have some kind of closure or resolution that gives the person a sense of belonging, love, and protection, as well as safety. So there you go. Structured system, as an example of psychomotor therapy and group work, and a top-down approach versus bottom-up approach. And so, as you can guess, now that we have 4 parts, we've done top-up individual, top-down individual, top-up group. We'll probably do some kind of bottom-up group work for the presentation next week. So I'll just leave the cliffhanger there for you guys, and we'll be back here next week, same time, same place. So Wednesday, 2:00, to conclude our series on the truth about trauma with our very last treatment intervention style. And then I'll share with you guys what we're going to be talking about for the last couple of weeks of December to wrap up 2021, which is crazy. Hard to believe that it's already the end of the year, but what they say, time flies when you're having fun. So as always, thank you guys so much, and we'll see here same time,